Welcome. Excuse me, it's your man Gotta Dies, and we are back. We are back. Earlier start time than normal on Thursdays because I do, kickoff is about to start in the game, and I'll give my preview on that one and the rest of the upcoming week of games. Hope you all have had a very good day. Hope you have a very good weekend. Still working on material for a possible KBK show tomorrow. Housekeeping, get that out the way. Still working on material for that, and we shall see. We shall see. Let me shout out those. Hey, you doing, Miss Teresa? Dr. Nikki's in the building. I'm sure Miss Murph somewhere in the clouds watching, maybe grieving because the Philadelphia Phillies got put out the playoffs in baseball. So she may be grieving somewhere. But anyways, kind of get into it because I do want to get down and watch the game. Don't want to miss out on because listen, I missed out on a good chunk of a good game last week. Don't want to do that this week. It is some big games on the schedule. Want to get into that, but if you saw the thumbnail, changes are happening. It's going to start with that. It's been reported, excuse me, that the new interim head coach for the New York Jets, Jeff Ulbrich, I think I'm saying his name right, has replaced Robert Saleh, who was fired earlier this week, has removed Nathaniel Hackett from play calling duties. Interesting because we all if you're not aware who Nathaniel Hackett is, he's the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets, formerly quarterbacks coach in Green Bay. So that's how he has a relationship with Aaron Rodgers. Was the head coach for the Denver Broncos for one season before he was fired. Has led probably the worst offense since he has taken over as offensive coordinator for the Jets. He has been removed from play calling duties. I'm pretty sure he'll be gone at the end of the season. Jeff Ulbrich made that announcement at today's press conference that Hackett will not be calling plays anymore. It will be one of the guys on his staff, Will Downing, who will be calling plays for the New York Jets going forward. He's already got the blessing of an Aaron Rodgers already. The head coach has already talked to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got to sign off on it. So it looks like Nathaniel Hackett is offensive coordinator in name only, will not be in charge of play calling duties. And listen, I get it. I understand the interim head coach will come in. You know what you have as far as the staff. You work with these guys every day, whether you're on the defensive side or the offensive side. You intermingle, so you know what the game plan is when you sit down with the head coach. And I'm pretty sure Ulbrich knows that, hey, Nathaniel Hackett just ain't got it. And it's, you don't have to think. You can just look at the production on the field from the offense, which has looked lethargic ever since he has taken over as the offensive coordinator for the Jets. So, I mean, hey, if I'm Nathaniel Hackett, whatever they need me to do, if I got to be in charge of a wide receiver group, offensive line group, do what I got to do, collect my check, because I'm gone at the end of the season. They're going to fire me. Just didn't want to do it this week. And I think it's a good move by the interim head coach. Hey, this is how could you say you're giving a preview of what you can possibly bring to a future head coaching position. What's going on, Spy? So listen, I put your best foot forward. Whatever helps you to look good, helps the team look good. If you're able to pile up some wins, possibly get this team into the playoffs, hey, you may become permanent head coach. So I have no issue with that. Hey, Nathaniel Hackett is not cutting it. Why have that albatross still hanging around, sullying your good water? And you're here to make an impression. You're here to make an impression. So Nathaniel Hackett, for all intents and purposes, will be gone at some point, if not before the end of the season. Definitely by the end of the season. How you doing, Miss Murph? I knew he was somewhere. But yeah. So that is news. And like I said, changes are coming. It seems like this season, with some of the moves that being made as far as quarterback, look at the situation with the Las Vegas Raiders, who have enough team turmoil going around, which is really kind of put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. It's been a bad start to the season for the Raiders. Have now benched Gardner Minshew and gone with Aiden O'Connell, who I thought, and this is just my personal opinion, played well enough last year to start over Gardner Minshew, even though Gardner Minshew does have starting experience in this league. He has won some games, but I think Aiden O'Connell had a better feel for the offense, having played in the system than a guy who was coming in off of the streets from another team. Gardner Minshew has been benched, and Aiden O'Connell is the starting quarterback. So maybe the Raiders, hopefully can turn the season around. A couple of teams are making such moves where they're having to try to get a spark, something to get the season kind of going. Because listen, this we talked about this on Tuesday's show. This has kind of been a weird kind of a season where guys are, and when I say guys, I'm saying my teams, teams are just not playing to the level that we're used to playing, them playing at, expectations have been high. I'm looking at you, San Francisco 49ers. I'm looking at you, Cowboys, Eagles, those teams that we thought were, going to be dominant at the start of the season has not been the story. That's not been the story thus far this season. San Francisco is on tap for tonight. Curious to see how they perform in this interdivisional game. And this division is, as it stands right now, up for grabs. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the winner of this game assumes first place in the division, which has been very down. And it could be, for I think the 49ers, for them, I look at this game as a must win. For them, I think Seattle, they're a good team, have a very good offense. Excuse me, let me correct myself. Seattle is leading with a 3-2 record. And the 49ers are there with a 2-3. I thought both teams were 2-3. That's how bad Seattle looked against the Giants. But I think Seattle offensively is going to be able to put some pressure on the San Francisco defense. And this might be a game where Brock Purdy is going to have to put up 20 to 25 to make it respectable. I think Seattle's offense is just that good. The defense leaves a lot to be desired on that side of the ball, but offensively, I think this team's going to be able to put up points. And with the way that San Francisco has been playing as of late, I'm more inclined to go Seahawks in this one. I know Seahawks, kind of a herky-jerky kind of team. You never know what you're going to get. Some weeks, the team looks like, hey, they're one of the better teams in the NFC. Then they go out there and lay an egg and play a stinker of a game against a Giants team that a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in. San Francisco, has been battling injuries for the start of the season. Still no Christian McCaffrey. Still dealing with nicks along both sides of the ball, offense and defense, and have just not looked good. Brock Purdy, he's, I looked at his stats. He's got a lot of yards, but a lot of those are empty calories, man. A lot of those are empty calories. But I think the pressure is on San Francisco because San Francisco, you fall to 2-4. I mean, you're looking at bottom half, bottom part of this division, and with the way that this division is kind of played out this year has not been as expected. San Francisco was expected to dominate this division. The Rams were also expected to be in the mix for the division, and both teams have underachieved. Both teams are underachieving. You can play some of the blame on injuries, but both teams have underachieved. And not played a complete football game where both sides, including special teams, have played up to the level that they're capable of playing at. So I think more pressure is on San Francisco to win this game. They are the favorite coming into this one. I think Seattle looks like, hey, worst case scenario, we fall to 500, and we're in the tie for first place for the division. We win. We got basically a 2.5 game lead on the San Francisco 49ers, and 49ers will have to play catch up. But for tonight, short week, considering what San Francisco has put out there and what the product of Seattle has put out there for the most part, I feel more confident in picking Seattle tonight. How much? I don't know. I think it's going to be a very good game. So like I said, I do want to get on here and get up on out of here so I can watch the game. Look at some of the other big games coming up this week. I don't think a lot of people had this circled on their calendar at the beginning of the season, but the 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday, you have the Washington Commanders, who are now 4-1, leading the NFC East. Jaden Daniels has played phenomenal. He's in the MVP conversation at this early part of the season, going on the road to play the Ravens, who have seemed to have found their mojo after an 0-2 start. I think Baltimore takes care of business at home, but I'm curious to see what the Commanders look like when they play against one of the upper echelon teams in this league. And this is going to be kind of a litmus test. Is this team for real, or is this team just off to a hard start, flash in the pan, beneficiaries of a suspect schedule to start a season? So I'm curious to see what the Commanders look like. they do have a very good team. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, once you kind of go back, look at the game tape, look at the roster, they do have a very good team. I don't think people expected them to play this well this early. I don't think people expected Jaden Daniels to play this well this early. But you know, give credit to Dan Quinn, head coach, and you know his coaching staff for having his team prepared on a weekly basis to go out there and perform. They perform very well to a 4-1 record. But I think the way Baltimore is kind of rolling right now, as far as the offense, the running game is going. Derrick Henry is showing his worth. And listen, as a Cowboys fan, Jerry, you mean to tell me you couldn't find the money for this dude? Yeah, yeah. I would have found the money for Derrick Henry. Considering what we got as far as running backs in the room in Dallas. Like, but Baltimore has looked like they're hitting their stride offensively, defensively. It's been some lapses. Give me a second. Excuse me, appreciate that. Had to give me a sip of water. Defense is left, has some mistakes on that side of the ball, but Baltimore is very capable of winning again. I think this is at home, and Baltimore understands in the race for the top of the AFC, you can't afford to keep losing games, especially early in the season. If you have any hopes of having any kind of home field advantage in the AFC playoffs, as we have seen, home field advantage plays a very big role in that. But I got Baltimore taking care of business at home. But I'm curious to see, not to write off the Washington Commanders. I just think Baltimore is the better team. But I'm curious to see what Washington looks like. Like I said, when they play against the upper echelon team, are you going to be able to pass the smell test? Now, I think if Washington goes out there, say they lose the game 24-21, you got to take Washington for real as being one of the better teams in the NFC. You got to. Also on tab, when we're talking about big games this upcoming weekend, you have the 3-1 Lions going on the road against the 3-2 Cowboys. As a Cowboys fan, I this is a big game for us because I look at Detroit as Detroit was my Super Bowl pick, still is my Super Bowl pick. Detroit has played some fantastic football this early part of the season. Cowboys, you're just not instilling confidence. Yes, you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in a very wet and messy game, but you left a lot of points out there on the field with the turnovers. Ending drives with touchdowns has been a problem for this team thus far this season. And you can't be selling for field goals when Detroit is actively out there putting up touchdowns. With that being said, I would hope that Dallas comes out with a little bit of pride after getting smoked last time they was out there on the home field. But just looking at how both of these teams have played at the start of the season, I feel more confident in the Lions. I think the Lions offense, especially with Dallas having injuries along that defensive line and that pass rush, I think Detroit is able to get a lead. I think Dak is going to play well. I think Dak's going to put up some pretty good numbers as far as passing. But, I think this turns into a track meet in the way the Dallas offense has not been able to finish drives either with turnovers or ending with field goals. I got to go. Detroit, this gives me more confidence based on the way that the offense is playing, and the way the offense is capable of playing, the way that they attack a defense. And I think if they're not able to kind of generate some pass rush, get Jared Goff off of his square, get Jared Goff on the move, confuse him with some of the coverages. Derrick Henry, Jerry could have found the money. Jerry could have found the money. Look, Washington at the top of the division. It's early. It's early. It's still early in the season, but I got Detroit in this one. I ain't gonna lie to you. It hurts me to say that as a Cowboys fan, but I'm in the role of an analyst. Will I be pulling for my boys? Of course. But in the role of the analyst, which I serve on this show, listen, Detroit, this playing at a slightly higher level. I think Dallas is playing kind of middle of the road, still haven't established a real offensive identity. Do you want to be a passing team? Do you want to be a run team? Hard to be a run team when you playing spin the bottle with who's the starting running back. I haven't been impressed by none of the guys that have been in there for the running back. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, Jerry, you could have found the money. You could have found the money. Looking at the rest of the schedule for the upcoming week, another good game that is on tap that I don't think a lot of people are going to be kind of tuned in for, but maybe sleeping on. You got Chargers at Broncos. Broncos coming in with a 3-2 record. Defense playing at a very high level. Chargers. Not much, not much to really report as far as like standout play on either side of the ball, but the Chargers have played very solid football, a very solid football thus far this season. Just nothing spectacular. This is the team under first-year head coach Jim Harbaugh, still trying to establish an identity of what kind of team they want to be. And this one I got Broncos. I think Broncos defense has been playing a little bit better. I like what I've seen from Bo Nix thus far this season. He hasn't really put the ball in harm's way too often. And credit Sean Payton for scheming and protecting his rookie quarterback, allowing him to make plays when he has to make plays. And the defense has been playing lights out. And for that reason, at home, that Mile High. Listen, I got Broncos. I got Broncos. Another game that people may not be in tune with, but there's a lot of storylines going on with this. With this game, I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off a very tough loss against the Dallas Cowboys, playing against a Raiders team who is sitting at 2-3, but have looked in complete disarray pretty much since the start of the season. We'll be starting Aiden O'Connell, as we talked about earlier. We'll be starting Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. It's been talks of possible Russell Wilson being the starting quarterback coming into this one, so you have that dynamic playing out in this game. It's been some issues with the wide receiver group up there in Pittsburgh, namely George Pickens. It's been talks that he could possibly be moved if the right player comes available. So he's kind of wearing out his welcome up there. You have, the issues with Pittsburgh as far as that. I consider that minor when you look across the field and look at the issues that the Raiders have. The Devontae Adams situation is still out there. You still have, I think it's a growing rift between, leaders on this team as far as the players are concerned and the coaching staff, namely Antonio Pierce. I get the feeling that Antonio Pierce, who played under former Giants head coach Tom Coughlin, has that old school style of coaching, and you have to ask yourself, does that style of coaching still work with today's players, where you're just riding players and you're hard on players, or do you have to have a player coach type atmosphere for your team to be successful? Not to say that the head coach has got to be a pushover or anything like that. I look at Mike Tomlin is, I would look at him as a player's coach. He holds the players responsible, but also creates an environment where players feel empowered. Is that the mold and model that teams should be looking for in their head coach? Is that old school mentality of coaching, that Tom Coughlin-ish era type coaching, is that still viable in today's NFL? I don't know. It seems to have been starting to rub players the wrong way in the Raiders organization, and whether they want to come out in publicly and say, you can see it out there on the field, guys are just like the head coach said, making business decisions, kind of going into business for themselves. It doesn't feel like they got the team mentality, team vibe kind of going on. So that is a storyline to watch. But in this one, I think it'll be a very low-scoring game by NFL standards, and I got Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's defense plays a little bit better. I think they're going to be able to confuse Aiden O'Connell, who's getting his first game action this year, albeit without his number one wide receiver, Devontae Adams, who is still a trade target, who's still out with injury, looking to be traded. And I think Pittsburgh will be able to overcome whatever quarterback situation they got going on. Listen, Justin Fields has played okay, but if you can get better play out of Russell Wilson, with Russell Wilson, that's the route I'm going. Yeah. So in that one, I got Steelers. I got Steelers in that one. Looking at the rest of the games on tap for this upcoming weekend, you do have the overseas game, Jaguars. How they always seem to be playing overseas every single year. They like to play overseas. I don't get it. Maybe it's because of the owner, Mr. Khan. Maybe that's what it is. He's got interests in other sports overseas. Maybe that's what it is. But you got the Jaguars against the Bears. Bears, who low-key play very well. All things considered, starting the rookie quarterback this year, Caleb Williams hasn't looked spectacular. He's not in the same, he hasn't played on the same level as Jaden Daniels, but Caleb Williams has played okay. Kind of got to lower your expectations a little bit for rookie quarterback. And he's played okay. Bears sitting right now at 3-2. Jaguars coming off their lone win of the season. I think you would think Trevor Lawrence will be able to outplay Caleb Williams, but I just don't have that kind of confidence in Trevor Lawrence, who just had his best game of the season, but has looked inconsistent so far this season. I got Bears in this one. It's an early start, 9:30 a.m. kickoff on that one. Overseas, I think the Bears take care of business. I think the defense makes just enough plays in that one. I think Caleb Williams will be able to protect the ball enough against a Jaguars team who's sitting at 1-4 with how the rest of the NFL is kind of played, still has an outside shot of making the playoffs. Still has an outside shot of making the playoffs. Looking at the rest of the games on tap, you have a Cardinals team coming off a very big win against the San Francisco 49ers, going on the road to play the Packers. I got Packers in this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if Arizona wins. Like I said, if you caught the preseason previews when I was breaking down the divisions, Arizona's one of those teams. I think the only thing holding them back is talent. I like the mentality of the team. I like how the team goes out there and plays with maximum effort, but I think it's just a talent thing. But it's going to be a fun game to watch. You got Kyler Murray against Jordan Love. Jordan Love, a second week back, coming off an injury. I got Packers at home. But listen, it wouldn't surprise me if the Cardinals go on the road and take care of business, much like they did against the San Francisco 49ers just last week. Arizona has, that kind of mentality. If you allow a game to stay close, they have that kind of mentality that, hey, they can close out. They have the ability to close out. Kyler Murray, I think is going to have to be on the move in this one. I expect him to get 50 plus rushing yards in this one. I think he's going to have to be on the move to get his offense a real chance. But listen, it looks like it's going to be a pretty good game. Excuse me. And looking at the rest of the schedule, you got the 4-1 Texans against the Patriots. Only noteworthy thing coming out of this game. Of course, I got Texans beating the Patriots, but I'm curious to see what Drake May, who's getting his first NFL start for the Patriots. I'm curious to see what he looks like in his first live game action in this regular season. So I'm curious to see what he looks like. But other than that, I got Texans. It's not too much to report or really speak about. Looking at some of the other 1 o'clock games, you have the Buccaneers against the Saints. Saints coming in. No Derek Carr. We'll be starting rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler at quarterback, his first NFL start due to the injury suffered on Derek Carr. Saints, I mean, the first 2 weeks, everybody was giving his team praises. I was one of those people saying that the offense looked good. This looks like a new kind of a team. But the last 3 weeks was just all 3 losses. Wow, you would think Nathaniel Hackett was calling plays in New Orleans. Like the offense is just falling off of the map. Tampa Bay coming off a very tough loss in overtime against the Atlanta Falcons. I think they go out there and take care of business. Baker Mayfield has been playing at a Pro Bowl level yet again this season, and I think Tampa Bay is going to be able to put up enough points against this Saints team, and I think the defense is going to get after the rookie quarterback. Spencer Rattler is a little bit older than the average rookie. But, I think Tampa Bay has a much better team on both sides of the football. So I got Bucks in that one. Let me come back over here for a second. Looking at the rest, you got Cleveland at Philly. A part of me wants to pick Cleveland for the upset. Because I don't know. Eagles are sitting here at a 2-2 record coming off of a bye. Have not looked all that good. This part of the season is kind of hard to kind of get a real feel on what this Eagles team is on both sides of the football. I think the secondary is still going through their growing pains and struggles, much like last year. Still not able to generate a substantial pass rush. But the mess at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, you're starting Deshaun Watson again, unless it's a late game decision where they start Jameis Winston, which if they were going to start him, you would have heard about it by now. But a part of me wants to pick them up because it's like two inconsistent teams. But I'm picking Philly in this one. I think the Browns, even though they have talent on both sides of the football, and this was a playoff team just last year. Deshaun Watson has not instilled any confidence in me, and I don't think I think he's losing confidence within his teammates with how bad he's played at the quarterback position. I think Eagles do just enough to squeak by in this one. I don't think this. If you're looking for a dominant Eagles win, I don't think this is the game for it. I'm curious to see what Jalen Hurts kind of looks like coming off of a bye week. Have they kind of worked on some of the chemistry issues and some of the issues as far as the offense and the play calling and stuff? We shall see. But I got Eagles in this one. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm not excited for this game. Speaking of not excited, you got Colts and Titans. Colts coming off a tough loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looks like for all reports, looks like Joe Flacco will be starting again. I got Colts in this one just because Will Levis has looked kind of lost. Tennessee has still not established what kind of team do they want to be on the offensive side of the ball, and the defense is playing at a subpar level. I'm just going to call it what it is. I think the Colts, understand, what they needed to clean up against the Jaguars team, come out here and take care of business on the road, and give Will Levis fits. And Tennessee, you got to be asking yourself. I know you got to be evaluating quarterbacks. General manager, your due diligence is to, scout quarterbacks because, Will Levis has a lot of physical gifts, has a lot of physical talents, but has not produced on that side of the football. You can't really blame it on him not having weapons. He has solid weapons in the backfield and on the outside. He just looks overwhelmed at times. He looks lost. I don't know if you really put that on the coaching staff for getting prepared. What's going on, Triggs? I don't know if you put that on the coaching staff for him being prepared. I don't know. But Will Levis has looked bad. And I got Colts in that one. Looking at the rest of the games, did I miss any? You got Falcons playing Panthers. I got Falcons in that one. Kirk Cousins has looked like he's starting to get his groove on the offensive side of the ball, and the Falcons have looked good, despite being 3-2, have looked very well thus far this season. Panthers, I'm not even sure if they're going to be bringing out Andy Dalton, who was benched last week's game late due to the game being out of hand. Bryce Young came in and made a couple good throws. I'm not sure what they're doing as an organization in Carolina. I like what I've been seeing from the Falcons thus far. The Falcons have looked like one of the better teams in the NFC, to be honest with you. And that's with Kirk Cousins still trying to get his groove back, in so many words, trying to get his groove back from the injury from last year. I got Falcons in that one. Closing out this weekend's games, you got Bengals, Giants. 1-4 against 2-3. I got Bengals in this one just because they had a better quarterback. I'm not going to give you too many. I'm not going to give you 2 words for one on that one. I got Bengals in that one. And then closing out the Monday night game, probably one of the most anticipated Monday night games in a minute. You had the 3-2 Bills on the road against the 2-3 Jets. The Jets we've talked about all week. Head coaching change, offensive coordinator has been changed as of today. Jets looking to kind of salvage their season, spark their season. Buffalo coming off 2 very bad losses where they looked middle of the road at best. Josh Allen kind of has come back down to earth. It's going to be a good one. Going to be a good one, and I'm gonna take a flyer on this one. I know a lot of people are going to be picking the Bills due to the mess that the Jets got going on, but I think the Jets defense makes enough plays, gets enough stops, where Aaron Rodgers finally has a Aaron Rodgers type game. So I got Jets in this one. I got Jets at home taking care of business against the Bills. That'll tie them for the division lead at 3-3. But yeah, this is probably one of the most anticipated because all eyes will be on watching how well the Jets respond. You get rid of your head coach early in the season. You get rid of your offensive coordinator days before the Monday night game. How does that affect the offense? What does the play calling look like? A lot of us don't know, and I'm gonna be one of those people that's gonna be tuned in to watch to see what the product looks like out there on the field. But yeah, that I think that breaks it down. Let me do a quick refresh. I know kickoff has already started in the Seahawks 49ers game. I told you guys I had to start a little early. 49ers already up 3-0. Okay, yeah, it's time for me to get my behind up on out of here. A little bit of housekeeping. Maybe a KBK show tomorrow. We shall see. Still working on material for that show. I want to do kind of a sports politics type thing. But we shall see. We shall see if I got enough material. Then, of course, you'll see the thumbnail. We'll do that show. And Miss Murph, and I know Keeper, if you're catching this on the replay, you and along with anybody else that wants to participate, I'm thinking of doing next week's KBK show. Next week's KBK show, kind of pick it up on the show we did. Was it last week, where we were talking about, kind of like mixing sports and travel, like what, and we're gonna do a sports by sports. What game or what ticket would you buy to what sporting event, and in particular sports locations, stuff like that. So I want to do that show. I'm going to say that on tap for the next week. So Ms. Murphy, I saw you in here earlier. If you're still here, would love for you to chime in on that show. Maybe I need to hit Keeper, because she be on the plantation a lot. But I do want to do that show definitely for next week. Maybe a show tomorrow, but definitely KBK for next week. We will be doing that particular show, because I'm curious to see what some of you guys' answers are to hey, if I gave you tickets to a playoff baseball game, where would you want to see it at? Outside of of course, the World Series or something like that. But we'll do that show definitely next week. Be back, of course, regular schedule program as always next week, recapping the latest and greatest. And I will be throwing in a show with the NBA preseason kind of starting, NBA season getting ready to start in a couple of weeks. We'll be throwing in a NBA preview show somewhere in the mix before the season starts, kind of giving my picks and thoughts on the upcoming season as far as that. Yeah, I'm all over the place. As always, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, man, and leave comments. It's always appreciated. If I'm slow to catch it, they'll blame it on the mind, not the heart. I think that's about it. I think that is about it. I got my mental checklist. I'm trying to make sure I covered everything. But yeah, I think that's about it. It's always going to end you off with the phrase around here: sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.